जय हिंद दोस्तों। हमारे साथ अभी मौजूद है एक बेहद खास मेहमान, एक हमारे बहुत ही पुराने साथी, बल्कि मैं इनका साथी था नागालैंड में। जब हम वहां पे सर्विस कर रहे थे तब ये वाइस चांसलर थे वहां के नागालैंड यूनिवर्सिटी के। इनके सामने, इनके दौर में बहुत से हर्डल्स आए, बहुत से चैलेंजेस आए। ये नागालैंड के यूथ की पल्स बड़े अच्छे तरीके से समझते हैं। और इनके टाइम पे सन 2007 में राष्ट्रपति डॉक्टर एपीजे अब्दुल कलाम साहब नागालैंड आए थे इनकी यूनिवर्सिटी में कॉन्वोकेशन देने के लिए। उस टाइम पे हम उनकी 26 असम राइफल्स में था, मैं नागालैंड कोहिमा में। हम उनकी सिक्योरिटी और उनके लाइसेंस करने के लिए हमें डिटेल किया गया था। तो हमारा ये सौभाग्य था एज अ यंग मेजर साहब, राष्ट्रपति
सौभाग्य थे, हमारा बहुत बड़ा सौभाग्य था कि हमें ये अपॉर्चुनिटी मिला।
थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू। और प्रोफेसर कृष्णमूर्ति कन्नन, डॉक्टर कृष्णमूर्ति कन्नन needs no introduction, ladies and gentlemen. He needs no introduction. He is an illustrious alumni of the prestigious IIT. He's an IITian. He has taken education, academics to another level. He has actually done a lot of contribution to academics. And right now, I have caught Dr. Krishnamurthy Kannan at a time where it's about 1:30 p.m. in America. He is in America right now, and let us hear his journey from now. Sir, Jai Hind, sir. What an honor to have you.
Jai Hind.
Thank you very much for taking your time, sir. Thank you very much for taking your time. So let's start from the beginning. Let's start from the time you were in school. Was it always your ambition to become an academician when you grow up, sir?
Yes, I think, I was very fortunate in my life that I appeared for the National Science Talent Search examination. And I cleared that exam. So that was the first time I felt I must become a scientist because the nation has discovered this talent in me. So I said there's nothing else. So nothing else attracted me other than to become an academician in my life.
Right, sir. And sir, let's talk about where you grew up. Which city did you grow up, sir, actually? Where were you
Well,
schooling from?
because my father was on a transferable job, so childhood, I was born in a place called Kanyakumari, a small village there. Then my father was posted in Delhi, so we were in Delhi. Then he got posted to Kerala, and he became the rubber board secretary those days. So we all moved to Kerala, a place called Kottayam. Then,
Corpus Christi is there in Kottayam, sir. The school
yes,
called Corpus Christi is there, very famous.
yes.
Yeah.
So I did part of my schooling there. Then my father got transferred back to Delhi. So again, we came back to Delhi. So I finished my schooling in Delhi. And because I had this National Science Talent Scholarship, I could not pursue engineering or medicine because that was one of the conditions the government had put, because the scholarship was for a period of 9 years, which I was fortunate to use it. So I did my BSc Honors in Chemistry from Delhi University, then joined for MSc Chemistry in IIT Bombay. And then later I went to CFA, Central Food Technological Research Institute, in a CSR lab in Mysore. And I did my PhD there. Then again, I was fortunate to get a Government of India fellowship to go to Imperial College in London. While I was there, I was invited back to India to join the newly established Center for Cellular and Molecular Biology. So I took the first opportunity to join there. And so I started my scientific career as a scientist in 1982. Then the rest of the journey has been very interesting because Government of India was setting there was a National Biotechnology Board, which was headed by a man called Dr. S. Ramchandran, who was the first secretary of Department of Biotechnology. And they started 5 centers, and I was asked to join one of the centers. So, like a true Indian, I said, okay, it's an opportunity again. So I went and joined Pune University. Then and one of the
Yeah,
industries invited me
I did
because
my
biotechnology involves
I
making
did
a
my
product or
graduation
process.
from I did my graduation from Pune University as well, sir. I was in Ferguson College.
Oh, very interesting. Very nice to know that.
Thank you, sir.
Pune University was one of the most memorable stay for me. Some of the brightest minds I had opportunity to interact with. So, and biotechnology was a new program started, and I was one of the first faculties to be recruited to teach the program in the country. I must say, Government of India had visionaries who thought of biotechnology way back in 84, 85. When it was not even a subject approved in many places. So, so that's why I moved to Pune to start teaching the program, and it was a great experience, I must say. And from there, then I joined one of the industries with the first diagnostic company in the country called Span Diagnostics as the research director. And also, that was the only industry which also had an academic program, surprisingly.
Right. What an illustrious journey, sir. What an illustrious journey. So let's come on to your stint in your taking over the university, Nagaland University, as a vice chancellor.
Yes.
Where were you, sir, when you were appointed, and how did you tell me about the entire experience starting from the beginning when you came as the vice chancellor, from the time you were appointed till the time you came, you took over your tenure? Let's hear that, because no one understands the youth, the pulse of the youth of Nagaland better than you, sir.
Okay, I'll share what. See, for me, it was a surprise to have a call from His Excellency Dr. Abdul Kalam. He one day called me up through his office. He said, "I want to tick your name as the Vice Chancellor for Nagaland University. I hope you will not say no to me." And for me, it was a shock because I didn't expect that to the President of India, calling me up and asking me, sir, if you think I'm worthy of it, I have no comments to make. I accept the offer you are making. So for a moment, I didn't know what I was saying, because to me, I was so overwhelmed to hear the president himself talking to me. And I must say, it was one of those moments. I didn't even know or read about Nagaland, anything, because it was a surprise to me. So that's how the journey started. And Professor Dr. Abdul Kalam was very clear that we must do something for the people of Nagaland. And he said, I have a big trust in you because we must provide quality education to them. So that's how I landed up. And as usual, Dr. Kalam is, suddenly he said, I'm coming to see you. And it was hardly not even 7-8 months since I was there. And he told me, I'm coming on so and so date. And the gap was hardly 15 days. So hurriedly, you won't believe, I organized a convocation because the president is coming. And you won't believe, probably it was the biggest gathering at that time in 2007 when Dr. Kalam came, and the whole city was, excited to have him. And he stayed for 2 days. He met all the children, talked to them. You know his nature. He is a man who likes to mix with people. And I must say, it was a very, very sort of, for me, it was a very inspiring moment, to interact with such a great person. And I think even the chief minister and the governors were overwhelmed. They said we didn't know whether we could manage in such short notice a visit by the President of India. And but we managed it very well. And I must say, I was very fortunate that the government missionaries, the chief minister, governor, they were all very, very helpful to me. They made sure nothing goes wrong. So that's how the whole journey started.
How much did the Assam Rifles support you, sir, in the convocation?
Okay.
Well, I was there on duty and I remember very well, working very, very hard. So I would like to tell that as well.
In fact, that's a very memorable moment for Assam Rifles, because they said we'll make a special room for Dr. Kalam to get ready for the convocation. And as you know, Dr. Kalam is very fussy on how his hair looks. So they kept a mirror for him. Emergency wise, they created the whole thing. I was surprised that the Assam Rifles went out of the way because they knew what all he wanted. And his typical style of, combing his hair and keeping it before starting the convocation was something unbelievable. Only thing is that why do you follow this blue book records? That distance between people and me should be so far. I think we should break this law. So he was very upset that he couldn't be close to the public at that time. And I think, and one promise he took out of me, which I cannot forget. He said, I want that you establish an engineering college and management for them in the shortest time possible. I think he gave me a task, which I was very fortunate, thanks to the support of the Chief Minister, Sri Rio, as well as the Governor, Mr. Shankar-Narayanan. It was we managed to find a government building where we could provide accommodation to the faculty, hostel to the students, found a building we took over, and probably, the whole engineering program started. I think, and one of the highlights of that program, which I must say, today we are talking about COVID and online teaching. Those days, it was a very big challenge to attract good faculty to come and teach. Even to recruiting was a difficult process. You won't believe, thanks to one Professor Srivatsan, whom I knew personally, was the director of Triple ITM in Trivandrum. So we laid optical fiber from our institute to the Dimapur railway station, and through the internet connection with the railways had, called RailTel, we linked it to Triple ITM in Trivandrum.
Wow.
And I remember that the inauguration happened live online. Okay, so this is something unbelievable. And as you know, government has a program called NPTEL program, which I don't know whether you have heard about it. And NPTEL was there, but nobody was using. So NPTEL people gave me 5,000 hours of recorded lectures for engineering, so that the students get the best benefits. So the NPTEL's real utility came when we set up this optical fiber, and Triple ITM Trivandrum was the mentor for us. Also IIT Madras. So, when we started the engineering program, I'm talking of 2008, it is something unthinkable that we could create an optical fiber link. The students could interact, ask questions. I mean, I don't think anybody even imagined. And further, we also did online examination. Okay, so I got a company which set up the whole thing for us. So question paper, because as you know, in Nagaland, if you have to go by road, to deliver question papers, it becomes very difficult. So we connected the whole optical fiber to every college where the examination center is. And half an hour before the exam, the question paper used to be printed there. And we had put a CCTV camera and all that, so that no question of leakage of questions. And further, the teacher has to just could correct the paper on the computer. So we gave them computer also. So they could tick it, they could give the marks. The advantage of that system was, if I doubted anybody's evaluation, I could always give it to another independent person and get the marks checked. So it was a very unusual system which we developed at that time. And so, as you can see, we got over the problem of carrying these question papers, sending faculty there. All this headache wasn't there. We had CCTV cameras to monitor. And when I look back, I think we were far ahead of what, people would have thought that it's possible in Nagaland. I think Nagaland was the first institution which went into the post-COVID era. We had already practiced it before anything like that was there. I think that was the most memorable moment. And I must say, Dr. Kalam was very, very happy about it. He said, this is what, you have done something which others wouldn't have even thought about. So he was so appreciative. And I must say, the chief minister and the governor came to Trivandrum, and they spoke online to Dimapur students. Inaugural session. It was a memorable moment. I can never forget. I think that was a highlight of starting the engineering and management program.
Sir, and how many months down the line were you? How old were you at the Nagaland University when the president came up to Nagaland for your convocation, sir?
I mean, you are asking how old was I?
No, how much service had you put in as a vice chancellor? How much
Oh, it
time
was
had you
hardly
spent?
6-7 months.
Sir,
No, I mean, it's 6-7 months when we had the convocation. But I must say, I don't know why. I mean, there was once an article appeared in the newspaper. My name is Kannan. They pronounced it as Kannan.
okay.
And it's a biblical name. They thought, somebody said, this man has come to deliver the land of education to us. So we must, I mean, even today I'm baffled by that connection. But the people had a big faith, and the church people always said, he's the man who's going to deliver education to our people. And
Yes.
when I look back, it did happen, because I remember some of the mothers came to me and they said, my daughter would never have become an engineer but for you starting this program here. I said, that was the happiest moment. I made somebody feel good. The feeling you get that you have done something for the people, which was the mandate with which I went. So I think that is one of the greatest experience.
Sir, and what has been your experience over there, Ben, with the Teachers Association and with the Students Union? What was your experience with them, sir, individually?
Well, see, one thing you have to understand, that in any place, when you go as a vice chancellor, some people are supportive to you, some people are going to oppose you. That is something part of the system. But as a vice chancellor, I must say, my job was to do what I was sent for. If I start getting into the smaller issues, so when things became difficult, I also took very strict actions. You know, especially three of the faculties were even suspended. And they made sure I don't call the executive committee meeting, but I managed to hold and get it passed. And ultimately, the chief minister and all made them apologize to the vice chancellor at that time. That, look, you will not do such nonsense and disturb the academic environment. And, it was not that I was very happy about it. I mean, because I never wanted my teachers to come and, apologize or anything. But, things were going out of control. And there's no other choice but to do it. But I think, I would say that it worked out well. The university established, and the biggest part was I could establish the original campus in Lumami, because Kohima was only interim campus. And originally the land was given in Lumami. And so I decided, okay, let me build the Lumami campus. So I think the headquarters formally shifted from the interim headquarters to the Lumami as the headquarters. And I must say, the chief minister was very kind enough to give us a lot of land in Merima, and I established the university's campus in Merima, because earlier all these departments were running in private buildings. So I was very fortunate that I could set up the Merima campus build the building, and the departments could be there. And we also arranged transport for both students and faculty, so that they could travel from Kohima to the campus and get back in the evening. So I must say I established the Dimapur campus, which was an interim one because we didn't have any campus anywhere. I'm told now they're shifting to Merima, most probably, the management and all that. And Lumami got established, and the Sasad campus, which is the agriculture, they also had a lot of improvements. So I think I managed to manage 4 campuses,
Wow.
and and you won't believe I used to travel personally to each of these campuses at least once a month.
I'm aware, sir. I'm aware. I've seen you doing all the good work in Nagaland myself with my own eyes.
So
Sir.
I think it was a great experience. I think always these kind of activities show the results only after 10, 20 years. When the children pass out from there, do something like some of them went to do MTech in IIT, things like that. So it all happened, which was unthinkable before.
Sir.
So that
Sir.
is where I am grateful to God that I got an opportunity to help these people.
Sir. And what was the association with the youth, sir? With the students' body president, with the students' body cabinet, and the student netas, the student leaders, and the youth in general, like the Naga youth, basically.
Yeah. So when you look at Naga youth in general, for example, I encourage a lot of sports activities. So if you visit the Lumami campus, we had a shooting range, and I recruited a person who was a national champion in shooting. So what happened? In Lumami, we had set up a very beautiful shooting range. We created a football stadium. Whatever the games they were interested in, the students, we made sure the facilities exist, and also encourage them to participate in inter-university meets. So that was one of the biggest things happened. And I always encourage people to travel, so that they learn more about it. So students used to go for all India tour, academic tour, things like that. Of course, there was a unfortunate incident happened in my early days, but otherwise things were been peaceful, in the sense it was a good experience.
Sir. And so, what is the strength of Nagaland University? How many students are there, and how many faculty members are there, sir, in terms of numbers?
Now the numbers are around 300 faculty are there. Okay. And and you can see agricultural campus, every department is there, as you can see. Only my feeling is I couldn't start a medical college there, and I
Right.
couldn't start a medical college because there was no 300 bedded hospital there. So the IMA even was willing to bring down to, if I have a capacity of 180 beds, they will approve it. But unfortunately, at that time, Nagaland did not even have a 180 bedded hospital. So that was the
The
unfortunate
biggest
part.
hospital there, I think, was Naga Hospital and Oking in Kohima.
Uh, but they
These
didn't
are
have that kind of capacity at all.
they didn't have at that time, sir. There are those, the Oking Hospital and the Naga Hospital, the civil hospital, were
Yes,
the only big hospitals in Kohima at that time.
yes. But I must say they were well equipped.
Oh yes, oh
You
yes.
know, so
Sir, you remember my commandant from 20th Century, my commanding officer, Brigadier
uh,
Gautam Ganguly. That time,
uh,
Colonel Gautam Ganguly.
yeah, Ganguly, yes.
His son was born in Oking.
Okay, okay,
In fact, I only gave a name for him. I named him Faizan.
okay.
He later
Where is
on,
Ganguly now?
he is now, he was a force commander at the National Security Guards, NSG,
Okay,
and then he retired from the army after that. And as you know, his wife was in the J&K police, J&K
yes.
cadre, and she was on deputation with the Nagaland police. So now he is with the Punjab police right now. I'm very
Oh,
much with him. In
in
fact,
fact, I remember, he was the man who said, I'll create a special room for His Excellency Dr. Kalam, He said, "Don't worry, I'll create it in 2 days. Don't worry about it."
So he was a great man. He's a great man, sir. Great leader. Great leader. And in fact, the day I got posted to Assam Rifle, the day I stepped in,
Mm.
I was a young captain with 3 stars on my shoulders.
Yes, I remember that. I very much, because we had chatted at that time. Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, sir. And that very day, he pipped me. He said, "Come on, you're a major from today." And and he promoted me, and then he sent me for the Republic Day parade selections, where I got selected for the Republic Day parade, 2008, in fact. And then I also was awarded. He pinned me the medal, the medallion of the
Okay.
commendation card for the General Officer Commanding's commendation card for meritorious service. So he, in fact, great man. And in
Great
fact,
man. I mean, I have very fond memories of him, because he was a very good friend. He was always helpful to me. Like sometime I casually chat, "You think I've done the right thing?" He said, "This is the best thing you could have done." He was very positive, because
correct,
sometimes you take decisions, you do not know how it will be received. So
correct,
that
sir.
way, he was a very helpful man. "No, sir, this is the right thing. You took a decision."
Correct, sir. Correct. In fact, I'm very much in touch with him, sir. I'm in touch with his family as well, and his son Faizan. In fact,
Yeah.
I run an online public speaking academy, sir. I train people. Rather, I would say we work together in effective communication and getting over stage fright. So Faizan had enrolled with me, sir. In fact, I worked with him for a while.
Okay.
So there are a couple of interviews of Brigadier Gautam Ganguly and mine on my YouTube channel on the same link.
Okay,
I'll share.
I'll certainly look it up, because I
Sir.
always remember him, because he was one man who made he was one of the people whom you would love to remember.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. In fact, when the president was coming, that time he called me to the office. He said, "I'm entrusting you with the responsibility that nothing should go wrong when the president is here."
I can
And
imagine. Yes.
and so he was a bit, I would say, biased. I don't know what he had this fondness for me. I can tell this
Ah,
much. So he always gave me very, very prestigious assignments to do.
ah,
And he said that, you are my ace. He would say, "Ali, you're my ace. I'm assigning this task to you, and I know it would be complete." In
ah.
fact, sir, I would like to know how many years did you spend in Nagaland, sir, overall?
Can you repeat your question?
Sir, how many years did you spend in Nagaland?
Yeah, I spent 5 years there.
5 years.
So I spent about first 2 years in Kohima. Then I moved over to Lumami to set up the whole campus. And it was not an easy job building a campus there, because,
Of course.
as you know, Lumami is another, terrain with a different this thing. Plus, the people who have donated the land, they were very helpful, I must say. And, we could put up optical fiber in those campuses.
Sir, sir.
I'm talking of 2009, 2010. We could do the whole thing, and we created a 1,000-seating capacity auditorium. So now
Wow.
all the convocation, everything are held in that auditorium.
Sir, sir.
That was quite big for a place.
Yes, sir, sir. Sir, and I remember the convocations, particularly of 2007, because I was an integral part in supporting the Nagaland University. So, if I remember correctly, who were the esteemed people who were honored with the conferred with the honorary doctorate in the year 2007 in your time?
No, 2007, we didn't give anybody an honorary doctorate at that time, because I was very new to the place.
Sir,
And time was too short. And,
sir.
to honor anybody also, you had to call the academic council meeting, executive council meeting. There was no time, because Dr. Kalam hardly gave us 15 days to organize.
Exactly, sir. Exactly. 15
And
days
you
also
wouldn't
was
believe,
perhaps.
I managed to get the gold medal done in Delhi and brought it within 15 days.
Sir.
Because somebody knew me, sir, I'll do it for you. They sent the convocation dress, everything.
Sir.
So, God was with me. There are enough people to help me out without even I knowing that, it is possible.
Sir, did you go back to Nagaland after your tenure as the Vice Chancellor got over?
Unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to go there, because my other duties kept me busy, and so never had a chance. Hopefully, one of these days I will go and have a look at how, because it's always nice to go back and see what has happened. after you left the place.
Absolutely, sir. Sir, my personal experience in Nagaland has been the people, the tribals of Nagaland are extremely cultured, very well mannered. They keep their word,
Yes,
and they respect women.
yes,
And in fact, even the undergrounds over there at that time over there, we had a mutual understanding. We had a truce with them, a ceasefire
yes,
agreement. They were I learned this from my GOC, who was incidentally my father also. He was GOC 3 Corps. That he had tremendous respect for them
yes,
because they're very worthy opponents actually.
yes,
Very and Naga the best of friends, worst of enemies.
yes.
So if
No,
you
you
make
won't believe, you won't believe I'm a vegetarian. And to be a vegetarian is a challenge in Nagaland. But they will call somebody to make food for me, whichever place I went. And I went to all the districts. And they were so nice. No, sir, we'll arrange it for you. Because otherwise, normally I pack my lunch and go wherever I'm going. They said, no, no, don't do that, sir. We'll give you a vegetarian lunch. So, I mean, that shows the affection they showed. And I must, now that you talked about underground people also, you wouldn't believe they were also, they once, one of them gave me a number. If you have anybody troubles you, please ring this number, the rest I will take care. I still
that is
cannot
very
forget
interesting.
that incident.
That is
Sir,
very interesting.
nobody should trouble you. You are doing so much for our people. I want that you enjoy your stay here.
That is really
I,
interesting.
I can never forget this. A lot of people say this is there, that is. I said, for me, that was the best part of it, that they were also friends and willing to help.
Absolutely. Absolutely, sir. There were a couple of times when we had gone on patrols, we had come face to face with them, and they were not found in their designated camps. In fact, I was with Brigadier Gautam Ganguly on one of the
Yes.
patrols, and he told them, see, you are not in your designated camps where you're supposed to be. So I'll give you half an hour. Please go back, otherwise it will not be good. He just said this much, and they listened to them. So they were a lot of times we came actually face to face with the insurgent groups over there. But let me tell you one thing, sir. I had served in Jammu Kashmir. I had fought counterinsurgency over there. I
Yeah.
had performed my duties in Nagaland, in the northeast as well. My experience in counterinsurgency in J&K was different. In northeast was different. And I say I have a lot of respect for every single person from the
Yes.
northeast, particularly Nagaland. So this is very, very interesting, and I'm very, very intrigued to know. So this person, where did you meet this person? Just tell us a bit more on that, sir. I'm a little intrigued to know of this. So when this person gave you a number, sir.
No, I totally agree. I mean, I have lots of good friends with whom I'm still on touch in Facebook.
Very much, sir.
Like for example, there is a boy called Teja Meru.
Of course, Dream
Okay.
Cafe, Teja Meru. So Teja Meru had gifted me a pair of brand new Dr. Martin boots, which I still have with me. Very large-hearted people. Which his brother had got the original pair from London. We didn't fit him. So he said, Ali, you are very tall. I think these boots will fit you. And the brand new shoes, he just gave it to me, and they're still lasting. The year 2005.
Yes.
2005 and now. He had gifted them to me in 2005. And now it's what? 2021?
Yes.
So
No, in fact, you won't believe he was the man who organized various things, because, for me, I was very particular that whatever expenditure we do for the convocation, the bills should be submitted so that I can get it audited. And you won't believe, Teja Meru, I gave him the contract job and I told him, I'll pay you so much for your service. Okay. Now, when I look back at that time, Teja Meru went and bought the first, musical system to start his group, using that money. And I remember the governor came to inaugurate that particular. So he said, this is out of that contract I got, that I bought, at that time, I think it cost about 1.5 lakhs or something, which was a lot of money at that time. But and that's how the whole thing. And later, I also supported him for all his musical evenings. So if you remember, the first concert which we had at that time was Vishwa Mohan Bhatt came and played music in the Raj Bhavan, and the whole crowd went crazy because he was the first Grammy Award winner who visited Nagaland. And today he is their musical ambassador. Another thing which happened was we also held the National Convention of Spikmake in Kohima, which is not an easy place to do. And 600 students were supposed to participate. Seeing that it is in Nagaland, 1,200 people came. And accommodating 1,200 is not easy. But I must say the state government was a very, very big help. They said, don't worry, sir, because inner line permit issues were there, the typical issues.
Of course.
They said, sir, we'll take care of it, let them come. So, I mean, for me personally, every district I have fond memories of meeting people. And, and the best part was, there are also backward areas there. So whenever I went there, I told them, look, I have 10% seats available under the Vice Chancellor's quota. So if any of your students have scored 45% marks or above, I will sponsor them to study in Nagaland University. So what happened? Lot of undescribed, some of the lower tribes which have not, become as big as the major tribes, their students got a chance to do a post-graduation.
Wow.
They said this is the first time somebody from our tribe has become a postgraduate. So, I mean, they always remember. So that was my biggest support system I had. Whenever there was a student problem or teacher problem, they will come and say, no, you will not allow you to do this. So I must say, since you asked about student union, because I never favored anybody. A child deserves, I said, better give the seat. So every department, I had 10% seats, so I said, I will allot it to them.
Sir, so
so that is a memorable moment I have, that many of them became postgraduates. And, today probably got through the civil service or whatever it is.
Sir, you coming from down south, normally people in the mainland, in the country, they are very, very much familiar with the Northeast. So even in Delhi airport, if you meet somebody from Nagaland and you ask, where are you from? They will say from the northeast part of India. They will not say Kohima or Dimapur or Bedford. They will not take the village's name. They'll presume and assume that you don't know anything about it. So recently, sir, I was at the Delhi airport and there were these two girls, Naga girls, and they were our girls. They were at a check-in counter and I could make out, they were whispering something in the ears and they were looking at me and they were talking something.
Correct.
And I speak and understand Nagamese.
Yes.
I speak and understand Ao.
Yes.
Ao dialect as well, fluently. So I knew very well that I knew exactly what they're talking about.
Correct.
And what they're talking about. So I just played along as if I don't know anything. Then finally, when they looked at me and smiled, I also smiled back. And they said, I asked them, where are you from? So they said, from northeast part of India. I said, no, I figured that. So actually, sir, the features are totally different. Even the tribals.
Yes.
Like an Ao would have a different features, perhaps you can recognize. And Angami would have just the way this is an Angami jacket. This is an Angami tie. This is so similarly, it's very, very, you can make out the difference. This is a Sema jacket and Angami tie. I have Chakisan.
Yes. Chakisan also is a very different one. So if you know the tribe, you will immediately say this person is from so and so.
Exactly, sir. Exactly. And to serve in the Northeast, even be it in the army, be it in civil, be it in academic as what you were, it's very, very important to actually know about the tribal culture, the tribal affinity, the villages, the basically the demography of that place. Only then one can function well. Now, so when I saw them, these girls were talking, and finally I knew that they were out. So I went to them. I said, "Kumalir."
They were surprised.
They were shocked. They couldn't believe. They have mispronounced something. They're like, "What are you saying?" They're like, "Kumatang Lair." They started blushing. Chungatang Lair, Chunga Lair. Okay. Chongar Macho. Macho. stronger. So they were like, really puzzled. They were like really puzzled.
Yes.
And they said, then I spoke to them in Nagabi. I said, Moy Laganam Aliba say, because as you know, the la is for
Yes.
girls, outright. The ba is boys, like sing and core. Alila, girl's name, Aliba, boy's name. So Moy Laganam Aliba say, Apuni logote log pai ke na bishi kushi pai jay, apuni khai shay khanna hai. So they were like really surprised that here is somebody who speak to them not only in Nagamese, but in the dialect. So I was very much at home, and my best of friends are from Nagaland. So I want to ask you one more thing, sir. When you suspended the teachers, the professors in Nagaland for on discipline grounds, didn't you feel kind of scared coming from south of India? Never had the exposure of coming northeast, and you would have heard different stories because there are a lot of myths going around. People by those myths. The people say that, oh, they are barbaric people. They are not. I think they are the most cultured people. They are more fashionable than anybody sitting in Delhi or Bombay or anywhere, and they are very well mannered.
No doubt about it.
Sir,
There is some, in fact, I remember when I visited Mon district, I thought I'll go and see the Myanmar border.
Sir.
I thought there will be a fence or something, somebody checking the visa. And I said there was no border at all. It was a borderless place. And it came as a big surprise to me, which is India and which is Myanmar.
True.
That means the people still come, go, work from there to come here, work, go back. Children used to come from there, study here and go back. So it was a very, very interesting observation. Whereas you go to, Tripura, you see the fence. But I never saw this fence in Mon district.
Sir. Absolutely.
Anyway, it is you see, when you go with an open mind, with no bias, you are able to enjoy it. And I think that is what I always say, I went with no preconceived notion. Now I said, let me learn it as I go along. And I think when I look back, I think I made a lot of friends. And it was something, even my wife has enjoyed visiting there. She helped them with the Nagaland school board to, she was it will be interesting for you to know that the first listening and speaking skills were introduced in the examination of the Nagaland school board. My wife spent 5 years there working with them, building up the whole place. So when you look at the Indian history, school education, that was the first place which implemented evaluation of speaking and listening skills. Later CBSE and all did it, but at that time it was quite a, visionary thing to do, that they accepted it, they wrote the book, the style of writing, it was something very unique. So my wife also has very good memories of the place, that, they felt very important. In fact, I must say this one incident which I still remember. When we were new in Kohima, and my wife went for shopping, a lady came rushing to her. Hello, ma'am, how are you? My wife was surprised. Oh, I'm fine. Where do you work? Oh, I work in Nagaland University. So, in which department? No, I work in Vice Chancellor's. This thing. So, what do you do in the Vice Chancellor office? I make sure, his room is kept clean. And she shook hands. She shook hands with my wife, and which is unthinkable anywhere else in the country. What I'm trying to say is they feel proud of the work they do. And that's the first time I learned it is not, you should be happy about whatever work you do. And it was a big lesson to me, that I make sure his room is clean. How many people will stand up and say that? Very affectionate. These are all, there are many moments which we do remember. But what I'm trying to say is, there are a lot of good qualities about them which we don't see elsewhere.
Nowhere. So really, to our viewers who are watching us, let me tell you, through personal experience, we are telling you, here the Vice Chancellor or the erstwhile Vice Chancellor of Nagaland University, I served as ADC to GOC 3 Corps and with the Assam Rifles. My father had several tenures over there, multiple tenures in the Northeast, particularly Nagaland. I'm telling you, they're the most cultured, most affectionate, most friendly. You make friend with a Naga, he'll give his life for you.
Very true. Very true.
They are those type of people. But if you mess with them, they're very dangerous then. Best of friends, worst of enemies, I say that. And so it's very, very interesting to recollect our old days of Nagaland, and it's amazing, amazing memories we have over there, sir. So,
No, the kind of fruits you get there, everything is unique. I mean, I was surprised at the diversity of the place. The leaves were so broad. I've never seen such broad leaves anywhere else. You look at the banana, it is so long. The environment in which it is growing. So, another person I tried to help those days, he got the Best Entrepreneur Award about 6, 7 years ago. Okay, Nichito Dolo. Do you know him?
yes, I've heard of
Nichito
him, of
Dolo.
course.
Okay.
Of course.
So at that time, I got a project for him to work in Nagaland University from the Department of Biotechnology to do plant tissue culture. And today you won't believe. So we started growing, because I was very impressed with the way the cabbages are grown there. The quality is very, very different. And he was a young entrepreneur, so I fully gave him full support. So we got few crores of rupees to, implement those projects in his village. And, we tried to grow these bananas there. Then we were very successful with kiwi. Today, Nagaland is able to sell kiwi, which never grew there before. So
Wow.
that is another very interesting experience, that there are some very smart entrepreneurs there.
Sir.
Hekani,
Very well, sir. Very well. Very, very well.
So they have a lot of young, brilliant minds who want to do something for the state. And I must say, Hekani is one, Teja Meru is another, Nichitra. These are all off. I mean, there are so many others, but these three stand out in that whole crowd among the
Very true,
youth.
sir. I agree. I agree. So Teja Meru, in fact, he is a very enterprising, dynamic personality. He runs his cafe, Dream Cafe, right at the
Yeah,
where
Dream
Kohima
Cafe,
Volleyball
yes.
Cemetery is, on that Tri Junction. Amazing. It was my favorite hangout in Nagaland. Okay, change to my uniform, wear my civil dress, sit there, sip of a coffee, and read a book.
No, but
Amazing, amazing.
one of the very interesting thing which Nifio Rio told me when I joined as Vice Chancellor, one big lesson which I always remember: act but don't react. This was the
Wow.
first lesson he gave me. Kannan, just remember, act. Whatever you think is good, you act, but don't react to it. The rest we will handle. Don't worry. So when there was once a strike and the 1 month classes didn't happen, he said it is an Essential Services Act. So he imposed it so that teachers come back to teach. I mean, Nifurio was very, very helpful. I mean, I can never forget. Another is N.S. Jamir.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Another great person who's established this, who worked very hard to get this university going. So,
Sir.
a lot of interesting people there. I mean, I'm just saying, act but don't react was a very great lesson I learned from him.
Of
That in
course, sir.
life you should know, you believe in something, just do it.
Of course, sir.
Don't
Mr. N.C.
justify
Jamir,
it.
sir, Mr. N.C. Jamir's, he went as governor to Goa
Uh,
that time, and in fact, his son, Lanu Jamir, is a very, very dear friend of mine. I've been to
uh,
Lanu's house several times on occasion, on Christmas. We used to have lunch and dinner. He was staying very close to the airport, the Airport Airport, Lanu Jamir. In fact, Lanu Jamir's daughter, Sungro,
uh,
was studying at Woodstock in Missouri.
uh.
I went to Woodstock, Missouri as well. So they are an amazing family. So they are amazing people. In fact, he
No,
had at the tower, this place in Dimapur, the tower. I'm forgetting the name of the place. Very fine. He had Baskin Robbins, an outlet of Baskin Robbins running over there. Lanu
yes.
Jamir. We used to go there
No,
and we used
so
to have.
very interesting people, They have people who have worked very hard for the development of Nagaland, Whatever said and done, whether I look at Nifurio or N.S. Jamir, whom I have had chance to interact with, they fascinated me that they wanted to do something and they worked towards it. So many things happened due to that.
Yes, sir. So let's talk about your experience when you went to Mon, because Mon has been in the news lately.
Yes.
So how many hours did it take for you when you went from Kohima? You must have gone to
Yes,
Mon,
Kohima,
and
yes.
I know what the road is like. That I
Yes.
know very well. Okay,
Yes,
all
yes.
a bumpy road.
It is seven,
Bumpy.
8 hours. I mean, you won't believe I left my house at 3:30 in the morning, because morning I said let's go. Now suddenly there'll be a landslide. If there's a rain, you have problem. Luckily, I had very good drivers who knew how to manage those places. But Mon was a very new experience. I mean, uh, everybody said you're going to Mon. I said yes. But the warmth I received was unbelievable. I mean, I can never say that I didn't. My impression was something totally different than what people generally have about Mon.
Yes, sir. And sir, your association with the chairman ceasefire monitoring group, General Kulkarni was
Yes,
there as a
Kulkarni,
ceasefire.
General Kulkarni was there. Yes.
Sir. So how often was your interaction with him at that time, sir? In fact,
At that time, practically every day evening we used to sit together, because it was fun to hear him. And all
of
these,
course.
underground people will come to see him. I didn't know they were
Yes.
underground, but they will say we all will have
That
tea
is
together.
the
Eh?
top brass of the underground.
Yes, all the
Ladies and
top.
gentlemen,
That's
for
how
those
I
who do
knew
not
many
know
of
about
them.
General Kulkarni was former General Officer commanding 3 Corps. Thereafter, he was appointed to maintain peace in Nagaland after retirement from the army. So you'll wonder what a general was doing with the underground. No, it was his job.
Yes,
After he retired, he was to maintain peace. So he
yes,
was the bridge between the forces like us and
yeah.
the underground, basically, to
No, no,
ensure peace.
General Kulkarni and his wife were a great companion. There are a lot to learn from them. I think it was always a pleasure, and the way he used to make tea was very interesting. you know, the way he used to serve tea, I used to enjoy sitting with him. That's the way I learned how tea is made in for certain brands of tea leaves which are available. See,
Sir. There's a wonderful comment over there from Mrs. Jayashree Kannan. She writes, so many memories relived.
yes.
Sir, absolutely, ma'am. Thank you very much for your
Oh,
comment.
thank you
And
so much. It was a pleasure talking to you.
sir, it was
And
a
I
wonderful.
wish, I wish all the best to the people of Nagaland. And I hope one day they will achieve the dreams they want. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir. Thank you very much, sir, for taking your time. And it's been such an interesting, intriguing conversation, reliving our old memories, our own fond memories of Nagaland. I don't feel like letting you go, but just before we go, one last question, sir. Before that,
Yes.
Manish Gujjar says Jai Hind, Shubham says Jai Hind, and so we have some comments coming in there. So now, coming back to one last question before we let you go.
Mm.
Sir, Nagaland was boiling at one time in 80s. Nagaland has seen very troubled time, very
Yes.
troubled time,
Yes.
and you are witness to it that the goodwill that we from the forces tried to create for the locals over there that time. We used to do blood donation camps, medical camps, build school, education centers for them, do whatever service we could do. In fact, in front of my own eyes, I have
Yes.
seen my own rifleman Sahu. We were going on a patrol, and there was a hut which was on fire. He
Yes.
jumped into that hut,
Yes.
risked his own life, and he saved the tribals from that hut, saved their lives.
Correct.
It was not, he could have ignored had he wanted, no. But he said, no, let me go ahead and do that. So he went beyond the call of duty for that matter. So now Nagaland has seen difficult days. So do you think now with this incident coming up, with your assessment of the youth in Nagaland, because you have dealt very, very closely with them, do you think hopefully peaceful days will return to Nagaland and it will be like a normal state the way Maharashtra or Odisha or
In fact, when I look at people like Hakani or Teja Meru, they are going to be the, Nichitrudulo, they are going to be the people who will create employment for the people of that place, make their place, feel very proud of working there. And they're all honest people. What I found in them was,
very honest.
no, I can't say they are corrupt in any way. They are very honest. They can account what they have. So they have brought in a new way of culture which did not exist before. So I think I feel that it will be a different place once. I always think one of them will become chief minister one day, and I pray that they are the true leaders they have. And I think I see a very positive developments there, and I think it will be no different from any other state in the coming years, because uh, people like Hekani and Teja Meru and all, they made music as an industry, how to create employment, how to train people. They're doing a whole lot of things. I mean, unbelievable. And so many entrepreneurs there. I think they will catch up fast. I'm very confident. And with good education available, which is the prime for any development, I'm sure I see very, in the next decade or so, Nagaland will talk differently.
Right, sir. So talking about music, my own cousin, my first cousin, Mr. Nasiruddin Shah, the actor, he's my father's younger brother. So his son,
Yeah.
in the year 2007, he had met with a very bad accident in Bombay. He had fallen off the local train and he was operated upon, and there were steel rods inserted in his legs. His toe was amputated. Thereafter, to rest and recoup, I called him over to Kohima, where I was. Beautiful weather, nice music. So he would come there, and he also made friends with the locals over there, and he would play the guitar with them, sing with them. So beautiful memories. And right now the Hornbill Festival was on. I wish peace prevails there very, very soon. So before we go, last thing, and we will end on that. Any message you would like to give to the youth of Nagaland as a former Vice Chancellor of Nagaland University first? Second, before that, how does it feel when your old students from Nagaland University get in touch with you and tell you, sir, I was a student at your time and today now I am successful in this field. This is what I have been doing. How do you feel about that?
Yes. In fact, many of them, some of them, I encouraged them to do MTech, gave them study leave. Some of them I gave a chance to go and do PhD in Central University in Hyderabad. And they're all in touch with me because we have to give them chance. So I could always call up my friends, why don't you teach him, take him for PhD, because we have to develop research facility. And I must say the Mithun Center has been a big help for the growth of biotechnology there, because biotechnology is one of the program, computer science, all that are pretty well developed now. And they have been able to recruit a lot of faculty. So that's a positive one. What I want them to feel, that they should feel as youth that we are not inferior to anybody. Because now you have all the facilities which is available elsewhere. I mean, the faculty those days used to have laptop. I gave every faculty laptop. And other universities said, we never got a laptop. We only have to share our computer. So I think the duty of every vice chancellor to make their faculty feel important. And in the process, if the students also feel important, the rest will happen, because it is a process which is important, which will lead to a good product at the end of it.
Yes, sir. Very well said, sir. Very well said. And again, Jeshri or Kannan ma'am says, God willing. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Sir, thank you very much for sparing your time. And I know it must be lunchtime for you. And it is 2 a.m. over here in India as well. And so thank you very much.
I admire that as if you're on duty at middle of the night. Thank you so much, Major.
Thank you very much, sir. Take care.
We'll keep in touch. Yeah. Bye-bye.
We will be in touch, sir. We'll be in touch.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Bye.